Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And this week I'm joined by Izzy Lee. Hi, Izzy.
Hi. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very good. Thank you very much. We were just talking about cats and pets. And so what's your cat's name again, Izzy?
Well, the one that's meowing at me right now, her name is Stella.
Uh-huh.
He's a 10-year-old tortoiseshell calico mix, and she'll probably jump up and try to knock over my drink.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
This is what
Yes. Yeah. I noticed you have a lot of cats on your timeline, and I'm completely behind that.
Yeah, they're just adorable. I can't get enough.
We really miss, as I say, as most of the folks watching the show will probably know, we've got we have Bertie, and we've had him for three and a bit years now.
Yeah.
And a complete and utter character. But we used to have two cats, and I grew up with cats, so I adore cats. I think they're just fascinating creatures.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we start talking about films and so on, I just wanted to, there are a few things I wanted to share, and then we're going to talk about the Rondo Awards and what you've been up to, etc. So just a quick update on The Night Whispered, folks. Whilst I was off, I hope everyone had a really nice Easter. We completed the sound mix, so I now have sound lock on that. Mike Chubb, thanks to Mike Chubb and Patrick Fagan, my composer. That's all done. So we're just waiting now for the colorization to be done, and then I'm going to be able to start submitting to festivals. And I hope in the next week or so that we're going to have a trailer I can share with people. But it's looking very good. It's all very exciting and so on. So there's that. The second thing is I've been invited to do, I don't, have you ever done this or ever heard about this, Izzy? Mixtapes on Mixcloud?
We have SoundCloud here, and
Yeah.
people put like a mix list together, like a playlist.
Yeah, absolutely. This is I'm of the generation where you used to record things onto cassette tapes and then hand them over to your mates, and so on. You can do effectively a playlist. I'm just showing how old I am, basically. But I've just been invited by a gentleman called Greg Gringo of The Voice of Cassandra to do a mixtape. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 days, is actually listening to all the stuff I've not listened to in years, and I mean decades, and putting together. I've managed to, he said, whatever you like, but it's got to be limited to an hour. So my first choice was a little over 3 hours. So I spent mixing it down so I got it down to 20 tracks, including a couple of little samples about 20 seconds long. Thinking, I've got to have that in, I've got to have that. And that's going to be released at the end of May, when I'm at the other, and this is all in aid of, and this part of the celebration is for Bloody Weekend in Audincourt in France. Now, I did try telling people about this before, but I completely managed to close down the website with the list of guests on this week. I'm actually slightly more prepared. So the list of judges who I'm joining are Jack Shoulder, who directed Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Fabio Frizzi, the composer, Yannick Dahan, a film critic, Catriona McCall, who is in Horsehead. I know.
She's in a lot of things. Oh my God, she's in all those Fulci films.
She's in all those Fulci films. One of the previous guests, Roman Basset, directed this film called Horsehead. And it's a wonderful film, and so Roman is going to be there, and he's going to be screening it there. The British author Graham Masterton is going to be there, and they've just added in, literally in the last week or so, John McNaughton, who directed Henry, Portrait of Serial Killer, and Wild Things.
Yeah.
Which I love it. The French translation for Wild Things is sex crimes.
No, they're not far off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Alain Schlokov, who is the editor-in-chief of Cinema Fantastique, a French magazine as well. So we've got some amazing guests. So that's going to be literally the last weekend in May in Audincourt. in the east of France, near Switzerland, near Basel. So Basel. So yeah, so really looking forward to that. That's good. So I promised to give that a proper plug the last time because amazing guests. Getting very excited about going to that. So the first thing we have to talk about is the fact is in Innsmouth, and congratulations, you've been nominated for an award for the Rondo Awards. Is that right?
Yes, it's crazy. I have no idea how they've seen the film, how they heard about it. I mean, it's gotten some good press, and it's started to steamroll with, you know, getting noticed, and that's the good part. And thanks to Tristan Risk and her crazy performance. As you know, she's been a guest here, and she does some incredibly amazing things. So I was very excited to put her special trick there, one of them, on camera and show the world. But yes, before we start talking about that, let me get this out of the way.
Yeah.
You can vote. Is this backwards? This is backwards, isn't it?
No, it's the right way around. It's the right way. Okay. If you just lift it up a little bit further, we're losing the email address. Oh, you can see Innsmouth Best Short. And if you pull it back towards you, and it says taraco@aol.com, and you've got to have your vote in by April the 10th.
Yes.
There you are.
And it's category number 8.
Category number 8.
Yes.
There's a link on the Google Hangout for that, and I will, and I know you just put it shared on Facebook, so I'll share it on my Facebook until the chattering group, and also I'll make sure it's on the, it'll automatically go on the YouTube link anyway.
Oh my God!
So yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's good. So yeah. So yes, Innsmouth and Tristan's trick.
We were filming a short film for an anthology that we're still in post for last year, and I was applying a prosthetic to her, and she said, "Oh, you know, I should have brought along, I don't want to spoil it, I should have brought along this because I can do this." And then she told me, I was just like, what? I will put that on film someday. Yes, we will do this. And so a couple of months later, an opportunity came knocking. There was an ill-fated European horror anthology that came to me and several other directors, and they said, okay, we want something really crazy. We want nudity, we want a horrifying death, and we want something really shocking. And I'm like, all right. Here in the US, we're usually pretty puritanical with our tastes, but I have an opportunity to get something insane on film. What am I going to do, and who am I going to do it with? Wait, Tristan, the most fearless person I know. So I thought of that trick, and I wrote it. Actually, Francesco Maschesi and I, my co-writer and I, we wrote it, we co-produced it, and we started rolling on production. You know, we got her in here like a month later, and we filmed it. The anthology fell apart, but we still had our film, and so we put it out ourselves, and it's gotten a lot of notice for all the right and all the wrong reasons. But that's okay. It's all good. It's been a lot of fun.
It really is. So, and this is based on in Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft mythos.
A little bit. It's based off of Lovecraft's Shadow over Innsmouth, and that's where the similarities end. You know, we've got a couple of characters in there that I just made all the ladies the stars. You know, I wanted to just sort of make Lovecraft roll over in his grave just a little bit with his you know, squishiness about females and their anatomy and everything else. So Robert Olmsted is now Detective Diana Olmsted, who's played by my longtime collaborator Diana Porter. Alice Marsh stays Alice Marsh, but it's not her father, Captain Marsh, that's the star of the story. It's her.
Right.
And she is a badass villainess. Oh my goodness.
She really is, and it's very it's a wonderful, as you'd expect with Tristan. It's a really effective a performance from her. So this is always a difficulty with talking about short films, is that one wants to, you want to talk about it, but don't really want to give too much away about it. So,
well, we can say that you get an eyeful.
Yeah.
You get a very shocking eyeful at the end of Tristan and everything that she does in this film.
if anyone's seen my interview with Tristan Risk, I'm sure we'll have a very clear idea of what's involved. But you mentioned Diana Porter. You're a long-time collaborator. So how did you guys meet, and when did you start filming together?
We met as actresses on the set of another friend's film. His name is Skip Shea. He's also a New England horror filmmaker. He's just finished his first feature film called Trinity, but this film that we were on is called Ave Maria, and I was one of the producers, and I get to be, along with Diana, a very menacing woman in the woods with a mask, and I treat a really bad man very, very badly. So that was really fun, and we met, and I really liked the way that she worked, and she was really nice. So when I decided to start, on my next short, which was Picket at the time, I said, okay, I want someone who's completely insane but thinks they're not. And this was about a religious fanatic, and it was based off of the Newtown shootings here. That's what sort of kicked it off for me.
Right.
In the Westboro Baptist Church and those fucking nuts. So yeah, and she got her comeuppance as well. There's a joke that she's like, "Don't kill the redhead," and I'm like, "But you're so good at dying." And I don't always kill her. It's true. Sometimes I have her, putting the murderous influences on other people, like as in a favor.
Yes, no.
And postpartum, she does not do well in that film.
No.
But Casey Lansdale, who's Joe Lansdale's daughter, is the murderess in that.
Okay. All right. So that was interesting. You've actually just kind of raised something, and I meant to mention about Innsmouth as well. This great poster on Innsmouth.
Oh, thank you. Here it is, everybody.
Yeah, who's the artist behind that?
That is Eisner Award nominated artist Brett Waddell. He's out of Portland, Oregon.
Right.
And he's done a lot of really great concept work on some Friends stuff, like We Are Still Here by Ted Geoghegan, and Lovesick by Todd Freeman, which is still in post-production. I've seen some of his stuff on that, and I was just like, who is this guy? I want to talk to him. And so Francesco and I approached him if he had time to do a poster for us. And we are so thrilled with the results, man. It is just an amazing piece of work.
It is gorgeous, actually, and incidentally, We Are Still Here is one of my favorite films from Fright Fest last year. That is a great movie, really, really great movie, which I recommend as well. And you also had, did he do your other posters, or those are different artists?
No, just the one. These two were done by Irene Langholm. And she is, I want to say, she's in Norway, I think. And she did a lot of work for the Viscera Film Festival when I was working with them as marketing director a couple of years ago. And she did the poster for my friend Maud Michaud's feature film Dys, D-Y-S dash, as in like dysfunctional, everything else. And she an amazing photographic, I'm not going to say retoucher, but she does these crazy things in Photoshop that I've never seen anybody do. Like she creates totally completely different forms of art from just a photograph, and it makes it so surreal and crazy looking. You could check her out, Irene Langholm.
Irene Langholm. Yeah, that sounds really interesting as well. It sounds, yeah, that's the fact that different approaches. I'm always fascinated by poster work, particularly for short films, because you've got to capture the essence. You do with feature films as well. You've only got one image to capture the entire essence, and I think it's so important, for short films when you're promoting to festivals, etc. And we're very lucky over here where I work with a guy called John Lynch on the Night Whisper, who's done a very nice job, and a photographer called Mike Shawcross, who's done a number of, both of them have been working on Mindless that I was involved with, and Katie Bonham Films' Mindless. John also did Mark Logan's Rats, and so on. And it's very interesting skill to be able to do that.
It's cool because I went to art school. I have a BFA in illustration, but I never did anything with it because you have to be like stupidly talented to make even like the worst living possible, or you have to be a graphic designer. And I was like, I can't. I don't know. So I got into writing and film festival programming. And then eventually filmmaking.
Eventually start making films. Okay, so we'll rewind just. We've had a couple of. We've had a question come in from Paddy Murphy, who incidentally who has voted. He points out he has voted. Was it hard adapting, reworking a H.P. Lovecraft story, or did you just dive headfirst into the opportunity and mythos?
Yeah, I mean, if it was a very religious straight adaptation, I would be really nervous because he's got such a fanatical following. And anything that you're going to do with his work, you're going to be, resolutely judged on. But my aim was to not even go that route. My aim was to be more like the Stuart Gordon school of Lovecraft adaptation and just do something completely crazy and wild. So I wasn't really worried about it. I was more like, Tristan and I need to make something insane and also make something of a feminist statement.
Right.
But I love that story so much that I did want to take a little bit of that flavor and give it a hell of an update.
Yes. That's one way of phrasing it.
Right?
Definitely a hell of an update. Okay, so let's go back to, so before you started making films, you touched on the fact that you worked in film festivals. And is this really how you start, after having studied art, this is what you went into afterwards?
Yeah, sort of like, not in a straight line from A to B, just like a category 8, figure 8, whatever. Like, just, it didn't make any sense. My life has never made sense. But what has made sense was that I was always a writer, an artist, and always had a need to make something no matter what. So I've been watching horror films since before I even knew what they were. You know what I mean? Before I knew something was categorized as scary or crazy or whatever. And I was just always really addicted to it. So I've always watched as many films as possible as I always possibly could. I worked at Blockbuster Video. I always, before I could, work, I'd go down to the family video store and just rent everything I could, and when I found out there was a really cool horror festival, well, actually I shouldn't say horror because they do more than that, Boston Underground, there's just a lot of really weird stuff. Animation, music videos, horror, sci-fi, things that aren't easily put into a category or labeled, just weird stuff. So in 2004, we sort of like rebooted that, and it's turned into something completely amazing here. Like I was telling you earlier, we had Larry Fessenden come in. I mean, I'm no longer a part of the festival, but it's still run by my really good friends. And actually, a lot of these people that are still on the staff there, they've helped me make films. My cinematographer is Brian McKay, who is their media director, meaning he does all of the graphic design and the artwork, and just, yeah, he's got an amazing eye. He went to Emerson here, film school, and so I was like, hey, I'm gonna start making a movie, and it's gonna be either totally terrible or we'll be good at it. Let's have fun. He's like, okay, and that's, a very simplistic way of doing it, but we just started getting together and making stuff.
Right. And
so, yeah, I mean, it just sort of happened. Yeah.
And okay, so rewind just a couple of sidebar notes, by the way. Paddy Murphy says your hard work really paid off. Innsmouth is one of my favorite shorts I've seen this year.
Thanks,
And
Patty.
and Steve Zarebski says that he has also voted, and he's just been watching Lucio Fulci films on iTunes for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's the madness, Steve?
I have to. It's not work I'm familiar with at all. I'm just very conscious that before I meet all these people at the end of May, I've got an awful lot of films to watch to catch up, so I can actually feel like, okay, I can actually talk to you about your career now and be sensible. Without going, so you said you started watching horror movies from very early on.
Yeah.
Were there any particular directors or style of horror movies that you were interested in? What kind of attracted you to begin with?
It was, my very earliest memories are of an American Werewolf in London, which still holds up in just a phenomenal way. The last 10 minutes of that film are, God, they're operatic in the heights they reach in terms of action and horror and editing, and it is so well done. But it was that film that I saw that my parents were watching it late one night. They thought I was asleep. I might have been like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
They were down the hall and they were watching it. We had HBO at the time, and it was on. I heard some screaming and stuff, so I tiptoed down the hall, and I sort of, crooked my head around the corner and saw some crazy shit, and I sort of ran away. But then I had to like creep back, and I kept doing it. I couldn't. There you go. I was addicted immediately because it was just like, what is this? And also Vincent Price and the Hammer films, the Roger Corman and the Hammer films. They both have this very gothic, beautifully, luridly colored. Oh my God, everything. It's just entrancing. I still love that stuff. All of it.
It's really obviously you obviously been influenced by some of the people that have influenced me as well.
Yeah.
Which Vincent Price and the Hammer horror films and so on. Okay, so you graduated that you did the festival and so on. So what was the first film that you made?
My first film was legitimate, and okay, so this is the film that I made out of rage, total rage about these politicians here in America, older white men that think it's awesome to police women's bodies, and this representative, House of Representatives in particular, his name is Todd Aiken, and he decided that he was going to talk about rape and if it's legitimate or not, and it's just like, oh my God, it made me lose my mind. Like, I was so angry that I couldn't sleep, and I wrote something, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I wrote it in script form. And that was when I said, okay, I hadn't really drawn or painted anything in a while. I think I need to put this on film. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's going to be a little tongue-in-cheek and fun, and it's going to be a little horrific, and it's going to be a little Lynchian, just like this absurd experience of living here in America is. So there you go. So we made that. It got some decent reception. We learned a lot, and then we went on to Picket, which I told you about with Diana. And between Picket and, I guess it was postpartum, I seem to have just grown, like, I feel like I've leaped decades forward in terms of like figuring stuff out. If you haven't been to film school like myself, the best thing you can do is be on a set, not just your own, but anybody's set. If you got friends, join them, help each other, and you will just start learning immensely. So yeah, we also made a couple of fun things like contests. Like I made a book trailer for Christopher Golden, It's Snowblind, starring Diana getting pelted with snowballs. And then she gets whisked off into the ether at the end, and you see the blood dripping into the snow because, why not? And we did something last year called Invisible Friend, and that was a contest film for the Stanley Film Festival. And that was an online voting thing too, and we won audience choice for online voting. So that was pretty cool.
I just caught up with that this evening before it was. Yeah, it's really chilling. It's just very, very chilling.
Yeah. I like to write about things that aren't usually written about, or different things. In the last couple of years, we've had a lot of female voices come up and start to make films, and it's so exciting to me because it empowers me. I've been able to empower other people, and we've got some crazy things to say. And it's really exciting. I'm so happy to be part of this new wave of horror directresses.
It is really new, and it's so exciting. We were at the Women in Horror month event, myself, Barbie Wilde, Katie Bottom, and a whole load of us, organized by Jonathan Hughes, who watches the show. I really, as I said then, I've said it, you have such a different take on this. And I think, men very naturally have a paternal view, very much like, paternal can be good, doesn't have to be bad.
Oh, yeah.
The dark side of paternal is the subject of your first film, I think, is that thing of like, I
know best for you, and
no matter
the consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And then men are problem solvers, and they just like to say, yes, what you need to do is, or I will do for you, or I will do to you to solve this problem. Whereas women have a
mansplaining.
Yeah. But I think particularly in terms of motherhood and the relationship with children and so on, and that nurturing side. And again, have you seen Goodnight Mommy yet?
Oh, I love that film. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I do. It is just brilliant. If you haven't seen it, folks, see Goodnight Mommy.
And see the Babadook.
Yes. Precisely. I think we mentioned before after Frogfest last year that actually Goodnight Mommy is very American translation of the original title. It's just, the child's relationship to the mother, and I will immediately Carrie springs to mind, to show what the dark side of it can be about.
Oh yeah, she's not such a good mom, but those kids are not good kids either.
No.
Mm-hmm. No, but very dysfunctional, but it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting study about working with children as well, because it seems to me that it's very much like, okay, we're just going to point a camera at these two kids, and tell them to go off and play and do stuff. And you just sit there and you just think, this is literally all I'm, this is not scripted. This is the boys just being the boys,
right?
In that movie. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's very exciting. And on that note, incidentally, my guest in a couple of weeks' time is Abigail Blackmore, who I met at the Jonathan's Women in Horror month, and has written does some interesting stuff about women and obsession, and so on, and fandom, which you can. But I'll be telling you more about that, or people more about that later on. So now Pickett, going back to Pickett, you made Pickett, and this has been on Blair Bathory's Fear House, I believe.
Yep, correct. You can see it on Fear House's YouTube channel. It's episode 666.
Yeah, and I do reckon it's a very interesting short film. And before we go on, actually, your company name is Nihil Noctem?
Nihil Noctem Films. Nihil is nihilism. And Noctem is night. So forever night, you're forever fucked, basically. I'm nihilistic. What do you want? What can I say? But yeah, I actually have a little sticker / I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, we can see that.
All right.
Bear with me. Hold on. Let me just freeze that for the moment, just so that people can properly see that. Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
It's great.
Oh, and I don't know. Do you know Graham Humphreys? He did my logo.
Yeah. Oh, right. I do know Graham. Graham's been a guest on the show.
Oh, good. Graham's awesome.
Yeah. I love Graham. Really, really talented, interesting.
Oh my God, insane.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
great.
And
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that basically Graham has illustrated the covers to an awful lot of people's introduction to horror.
Yes. Oh my God.
Um,
Yes.
yeah,
When I met him, I was like, "Holy shit! You did Evil Dead 2, and you did Nightmare on Elm Street, and you did Fulci. And oh my God, what the? You're in my living room, and my mom's feeding you lasagna. What is this life? It's amazing."
it's
Um,
yeah, no, very, very talented guy and a very interesting interview. And getting talking about it, and the great thing is, whenever Graham goes to film festivals, we met at Celluloid Screens in Sheffield
yeah.
last year, which is a quick shout out to say that Rob Nevitt, who is one of the festival directors of Celluloid Screens, will be on the show next week talking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, talking about film festivals. But the great thing is, Graham just sits there with his. He doesn't. I don't think he sees many of the films, but he just sits there and he paints this stuff, and you can just sit there going, "Yeah, there's a tiny little brush that you see, and
It's
you're putting
insane.
this. Just amazing. I
Yeah.
love watching artists work like that. Absolutely.
Oh my God, he's brilliant.
Yeah,
He's so brilliant.
yeah,
He's the type of, when I was in art school, he's the type of person I wanted to be, like illustrating all that stuff. But I don't have a fraction of the talent that he does. So it was, yeah. But
yeah. We
he does, right?
basically, Graham, we're in awe. We're just simply in awe of you.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of other questions come in. First one from Jonathan Hughes, I've just been mentioning.
Hello.
What movie scores soundtracks has influenced your filmmaking career?
Oh wow, that is a great question, Jonathan. I would say for the last couple of films, or especially for Innsmouth, it was the old scores for The Beyond.
Mm.
The Beyond and City of the Living, City of the Dead, Living Dead. Yeah, I'm very tired, but yeah, I mean, Jesus, Goblin and Fabio Frizzi and Postpartum and Pickett, Angelo Badalamenti, Twin Peaks, and Blue Velvet, and Mulholland Drive, especially Lost Highway, so good. And Trent Reznor for Nine Inch Nails is just, I don't even know what this guy does, but he's like Graham. He's like the most stupendously talented guy. His work for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake and Social Network, and his Ghosts album, which is very instrumental, but all of Nine Inch Nails' work is just incredible. So that would be the answer. Those guys.
It's very good, and as I say, because I've been looking at an awful lot of the albums that I have in my, you'd be surprised how many musicals I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who knows me is going to be so
I love soundtracks. Soundtracks are great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good. Oh, you know what? I can't forget John Carpenter. Mm-hmm. His music is really great too. Oh my goodness! And there's so many filmmakers in my generation right now that are sort of paying homage to him, or hopefully not, but ripping him off. But he's just so fucking good. Halloween and Assault on Precinct 13 was a particular inspiration for A Favor. Oh man, I'm so excited. He's touring with his Lost albums too soon, so I'm scheduled to go see him in New York with one of my collaborators and co-writers, Chris Halleck, so that'll be exciting. Chris wrote A Favor, and we wrote Postpartum together, and he wrote For a Good Time Call, which is that film that I brought Tristan in, that we worked together for the first time on. That's still in post, so yeah, that'll be, hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll be finishing that.
Oh, we've got another question coming in just a few moments from Kim. I'm going to come back to it in a few moments if I may, Kim. And just the importance of soundtracks is amazing. I've just been working with, as I say, Patrick Fagan on my short film. And this is the first time. This is my first short film, so I'm going through this process, and it's absolutely fascinating. I'm really lucky to have found Patrick, because he just says, "Yeah, well, you can have this. Okay, you don't like that? Okay, you can have that." And just constantly, he describes it as a tennis match as we're just batting ideas backwards and forwards is really interesting. But as I say, looking at the stuff I discovered on my shelf, and I'd completely forgotten I had it, an LP, which is all the James Bond films.
Nice.
Up to the era of Roger Moore. I mean, physically, it is an LP with sleeves and fold-outs and so on. It's absolutely fascinating to listen. I haven't had a chance to replay it yet, because we only just got a record player in yesterday, so I can listen to all these things again. And of course, the one person that in my generation is Ennio Morricone.
Oh my God, yes. Fucking good.
Yeah. The Ennio Morricone, particularly, and I'm not talking about the movie. I do want to go back and watch the movie again because everyone tells me how terrible it is, and that's Exorcist 2: The Heretic.
It's so bad. It's true. Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in the cinema and really quite enjoying it. I remember reading about it and bringing all the background and listening and really enjoying the score. And I think I really just got to go back and watch this movie because I saw it when it first came out. I haven't seen it since. I never got hold of I don't know if it is on DVD. It had such a poor reception. But yeah, Ennio Morricone.
He's fantastic. I had the theme for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly as my ringtone on my first cell phone. Because why not? It's going to be you. You know, it's your phone that's actually going to be ringing whenever it rings. God, okay, so I would love to work with him. Oh my God. Brilliant. His work on Thing by John Carpenter, it's one of my favorites ever. Okay.
Yeah, it's.
And then, they just use a lot of his stuff from that score that wasn't used for The Hateful Eight, for Tarantino's. Yeah, and they built off of that. So if you don't go see Hateful Eight for any other reason than Kurt Russell and, a film in the middle of the woods and during the Civil War, go see it for Ennio's score. So good.
Really, really interesting. Well, I think Tarantino's approach to movies, because he uses so many songs. I remember listening to an interview with the lady who finds all the rights for him.
Nice.
To get, and that is a major job in itself, just to be able to get hold of the rights, because not obvious, because people do still have some control over that. But in Reservoir Dogs,
Stuck in the Middle with
you. Yeah, I love that. That was me and my mate's favorite song until we saw that movie that weekend. It's like, what have they done to our song?
It's a good piece of misdirection and having the dichotomy of something happy sounding and then something horrible on screen.
Yeah.
I did that legitimate where I had my composer Shane Grin create a sort of like a Hawaiian luau, like super relaxed song, and this guy's getting his guts torn out by this thing inside him. Yeah, it was fun.
No, I can understand that. Question from Kim Lehman, which I mentioned. Would you ever consider writing, directing a television series of H.P. Lovecraft stories? And what do you think of the films in The Mountain of Madness and Reanimator?
Oh my God, yes, and yes. Mountain of Madness is phenomenal. And I wish more people would see it, because Sam Neill's performance in that, the direction in that, the weirdness in that. Let me count the ways how much I love that film. I can't. It is just such a brilliant piece of filmmaking and such a crazy, amazing adaptation. God bless John Carpenter and Stuart Gordon, two of my iconic favorites. Reanimator, it's priceless. I mean, it takes a lot for me to get freaked out to meet some people, but when I first went to meet Stuart Gordon at the 2010 performance of Nevermore at the Fantasia Film Festival, so he had Jeffrey there playing Poe, and Stuart Gordon was there, and I was like, all right, I need to go sit down and like hide for a minute and like cry a little, because this is fucking Stuart Gordon. He did Reanimator, which is one of the most amazing films I've ever seen. But yeah, when I run into him now, I'm like, oh, hey, Stuart, what's up? You know? And then I was able to do one of my dreams, which was bring that play here to Boston. So I produced Nevermore here in Boston, starring Jeffrey Combs, written by Dennis Paoli and directed by Stuart Gordon. Dennis came, Stuart was out in Vegas doing his Reanimator musical, so he couldn't come, but that was a hell of a Halloween, man. Oh, man. So good.
And a couple of other questions, comments have just come in. Steve has arrived again. Have you listened to John Carpenter's Lost Themes 1 and 2?
How do I listen? I rock out.
No, not you've heard those.
Oh my God, yeah. The Lost Themes 1 is fantastic. The second one's not out yet, but there's, you know, some videos, some previews online.
Right.
And fantastic. I'm so happy that he's doing that stuff again, and I can't wait to see him on stage.
Yeah, I've got a number of people who are going to, a number of friends are going to go and see it. Unfortunately, this is something I can't do simply because of my hearing. It would just sound like noise as far as I'm concerned. I think, that's just not going to be a nice, it's not a nice evening as far as I'm concerned. But Paddy Murphy asks, have you ever heard the incredible piece Here to You by Ennio Morricone and Joan Baez?
It doesn't sound familiar.
No, me neither. I've not heard this. I'm just copying this onto my notes,
It's
Paddy.
always possible that I've heard it and I don't recognize the title, but if Joan Baez is singing, then I feel like I would remember that.
Yeah.
So, no, but I want to look that up now.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say, I'm wondering if this is fairly recent or if this is... Okay, we'll check that one out, Paddy. Thank you very much for asking that. Now, we spoke about postpartum, but we also haven't really spoken about A Favor, which screened at Fright Fest last year. Is that right?
Yeah. Last August, it was screening in one of the shorts blocks. I wish I could have been there.
It was fun. It got a great reception. I can tell you that much as well. I was one of the blocks that I managed to. There were 3, and I got to see 2 of them. It's how did that come about? Where did that one all start?
Well, you know, I asked my friend Chris Halleck if he had any scripts because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something funny. I needed to lighten the fuck up, you know, just a little bit, but still be like a little ghoulish. And so he gave me this script, and I'm like, oh, I need to make this. I need to have this guy's head, this corpse head bopping down the stairs because he gets dragged. And then I only auditioned 2 people for the role of Jackson, who's the guy that helps Diana with her little favor. And the favor is to go help her clean up a dead body that she's left in her new house. And this is something that she's done before. So he's just sort of like, oh man, I was just gonna watch the game. He's he's a good dude. He's like this downtrodden guy, but he's not terribly bright. You know, he is very funny though. So I cast my friend Sean Callahan, who's in a metal band here in Massachusetts called Give Zombies the Vote. And a couple of years ago, I don't know if you have seen this, but he had a video that went viral. It was him holding his cat, and the cat's name is Bill Murray, by the way, and singing metal to his cat. And he was very, very drunk, and it was really hilarious. So look it up. Look up Give Zombies the Vote, Bill Murray cat, drunken singer, and you'll see Sean star in a favor singing to his cat.
Because I mean, the thing is, when they're screening films in blocks as they do at Fright Fest and you know, some other festivals as well, of course you sit there and you've no idea what's coming, what's the order. You don't have a menu of the films or anything to sit down, so you're just sitting there, no idea about. And that's, to be honest, that's how I like to watch movies anyway, because it's all about the filmmaking. It's not about the hype or the publicity to actually get you in there. You're there already. You are literally a captive audience. I remember we just watched it to begin with, and it's just like, what's this? Where's this going? It's like, oh, really? It's just such a lovely study of, as you say, this guy at home, and he's just sitting down, and he's sitting there with his pizza or whatever it is he's eating. I just thought it's a perfect study of character. You know who this guy. How long is the movie? It's about 8-9 minutes, or a little bit.
Yeah, a favor. It's not very long. Offhand, I'm trying to think.
I shouldn't put people on the spot like this. I've got IMDb. I can look it up.
Between like 7 to 9 or 10 minutes offhand.
Yeah, but it's just that thing of and I can answer my own question. A favor, if I just scroll down the screen a little bit and it is 11 minutes.
11 minutes. There we go. So here's Sean. He's getting ready to do some body cleanup like Harvey Keitel in, Tarantino's opus there. And, if you like corpse head smashing and body throwing and acid baths and chainsaws and some funny shit, you might want to look this up.
The thing that I found, there is a scene where he's disposing of the body. We're given that part of it, and that becomes very clear. That happens in the first 2 minutes of the movie. Is then what stuff. It's coming down that wooden staircase. The sound of coming down the wood. I was thinking they're going, jumping every time. I think, hold on, he's a corpse. It's what? It's not. You can't feel it. It's just like boom, boom.
Oh my god. The funniest part of that shoot was, so I made a dummy, which is actually still in my basement, and I wrapped it up in the sheet, and it's doused with blood, and it's taped up. The funniest part with the shoot, and I'll send you this photo afterward, is that my crew decided to take the dummy outside and lay it on the lawn of these wonderful people that had lent us, their house to shoot on location, and it was just hanging out. And I'm just like, Murray and Maria, who were the homeowners, I'm really glad they warned their neighbors that we're shooting something crazy that day and not to be alarmed. But I'm like, guys, you can't leave a corpse on the lawn, man. Like, the cops are going to show up. But, everything is fine, and no cops came, and we were able to do a lot of screaming, and yeah, it's all good.
Well, I think this is the great thing about the difference between most of American houses, unless you're living in somewhere like New York, is generally speaking, houses have got lots of space between them.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Unless you have to get right out into the country in this country. If you're anywhere in London, forget about it. You're on top of your neighbours. Filming in London does have its own interesting challenges, but being able to scream when you're making this kind of thing. There is a question coming from Paddy Murphy, and Jonathan, I've just seen that you'd like to come and join us, so I will invite you on, Jonathan. And anybody else, if you'd like to come on, just give us a shout. But Jonathan Hughes is going to come and join us live. I will get you on, Jonathan, whilst I'm asking this question. A question from Paddy Murphy is, will you ever make a short film solely about cats? Your cat's posts are da bomb and uplift me at least once or twice a week. I would kickstart that seriously. Take my money, says Paddy. So would you make a short film about cats?
I would love to. The problem with cats is that they don't follow directions. Cats can do whatever the fuck they want when they want. So that's the biggest challenge. I would love to do some sort of film about killer kittens or something like that, but they're even harder to work with than kids, man.
I was going to say, Paddy, are you insane? You met cats? I'm just like, Paddy has a beautiful little dog called Skitch. Just imagine who I've met when we were filming together. And it's like, really? Cats? Anyway, Jonathan, you've joined us. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, guys. How you doing this evening?
Hello. Good, how are you?
I am fantastic. You guys have been chatting about movie soundtracks for the past half an hour now, especially Ennio Morricone, and I would like to recommend a score you guys may not have heard from Ennio. It's called Mission to Mars, and it's brilliant, and it's like if Ennio Morricone was to ever score a rebooted Superman movie, this is what it would sound like, and it's so beautiful. It's on YouTube.
That down.
Yeah, Mission to Mars. Nicholas, you'd like it too.
Mission
Cool.
to Mars.
Yeah.
And who's it by again, Jonathan?
I can tell you that the movie stars Gary Sinise and the guy from Shawshank, Tim Robbins.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool.
Yes, I remember seeing this on. I remember seeing this on TV, on TiVo or something like that when it came out. It's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. Did you actually have a question for Izzy?
Yeah, I wanted to get Izzy. I saw your little Guns N' Roses thing on the back, and I wanted to get your opinion on the possibility of Axl Rose. It's Axl Rose, right? Possibility of him joining AC/DC as replacing the vocalist. What's your view on that?
I think it's a little weird, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do when you need to rock out. So for those about to rock, we salute you.
Yeah, I think.
But Guns N' Roses, they're gonna tour themselves this year because tickets are gonna be on sale. I think next week for tours here. So yeah, they're getting back together. Crazy.
I've met Axl Rose's hairdresser.
Nice.
I swear I have. I swear Barbie, myself, and Doug were in an airport bar after a convention
That's
a few
fun.
years back, and we were just sitting there and we were just saying, you know, just chatting away to the nice lady. I believe, yes, the nice lady who was so she's like, oh yeah, she's Axl
I'm
Rose's
surprised
hairdresser.
Axl needs a hairdresser, honestly.
No, I think I've got this right. Who knows? Anyway, Steve Zarebski. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
What's your question for Izzy?
Is there any other film festivals in Canada you would take your films to, like Toronto?
Oh, I would love to get into Toronto. Toronto is a very hard market to crack. I've submitted to Toronto After Dark. Although you know what? I did play Fright Night Theater in Hamilton not too long ago. So that's a smaller one south of Toronto. Yeah, if Dark Carnival coming up, which is hosted by Rue Morgue, if they do a film festival, I'm definitely going to submit to that because I'd love to go back to Toronto. Toronto has a lot of my friends living in it, and it's a great city. I love Toronto. Lots of good horror stuff there. But we've played Fantasia a lot in Montreal. We just played Vancouver Badass Film Festival, and Tristan won Best Supporting Actress for Innsmouth there. So that was very cool. So yeah, Canada.
Yeah, I voted for Innsmouth as well.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
And I've met Tristan twice.
Yeah, she's a special girl.
And
I love her.
the Sauskas.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Absolutely amazing. Great friends of the show as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're coming towards the end of the show, Izzy. What are you working on now? What apart from voting in the Rondo Awards for Innsmouth, what are you working on next, and what else have you got coming up?
Some exciting things. Possibly another short film starring Tristan, and that has to do with a bunch of nuns taking revenge on a priest. He's a bad, bad man. So I'm trying to get that off the ground. I'm also co-writing a feature with my friend Chris Halleck, who is one of my also longtime collaborators, and I've also got a script coming in for a Joe Lansdale adaptation, and that's a feature. So I am really excited about that. So
Ooh.
yeah.
I think this is always a big struggle for people who've been making short films, making that next step to doing feature films. How are you approaching that?
It's hard. I don't really know where to get started except to take every day as it comes and to keep breathing, because the thing is with short film, you can self-fund it if you want, you can self-produce it, you can spend as little or as much as you want on it. With a feature, if you want distribution, there's going to be a lot of money involved. There's going to be casting, there's going to be a lot more cooks in the kitchen. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I have a lot of really cool indie horror producer friends that I can go and talk to about the script. and I'm really excited to go do that because it's gonna land in my inbox any day now. So yeah, but I might take the script to a film market like Frontiers at Fantasia, or something like that, American Film Market, Santa Monica, and I think that's November. There's a lot of different options, you know. You could go and you can make it yourself and do a Kickstarter, or you could take it to a film market, or you could pitch it to a producer that knows what he or she is doing. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, so I'm going to explore all my options before I figure exactly which one is best for this project.
Okay. That sounds like a very sensible thing, and I think it seems to be making it up as you go along in many aspects, because I guess it's the first time for so many things, but you've touched on a couple of important things about you're going to have to pay people, I think. With short films, you can get away with doing favors, etc. But I think if you're asking people to commit to a feature film, then definitely, you've got to be really able to support them.
And I want great talent. You know, I want Bill Sage, I want Larry Fessenden, I want Barbara Crampton, I want a lot of really amazing people. So I'm going to do it right, the best that I can, and do the best thing for the project. So I'm going to be figuring that out day by day. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but to me, it feels like the right thing is to go and talk to producer friends that have done stuff like this before. You know, so yeah.
Oh, interesting. Awesome. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so the last question we have just come in from Kim Lehman. Izzy, since horror and heavy metal go well together, how about Guns N' Roses or Slash do the next score for your upcoming films?
Hey, I'd go for that. I don't know if they want to, do something so small, but, maybe someday I won't be so small and they'll know who I am. I have no idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would totally do that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the times it's just a question of asking. Just having a go and just asking people. You never know who is going to turn around and say yes to something. And Kim's follow-up question is: would you want to direct any other genre other than horror?
Good question. So to me, the world is full of horror, and I see horror in everything in everyday life. So I would probably put some horror in some films and some genres that people might not necessarily expect. Like, to me, you can have a dramatic film, and it can have elements of horror there, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I could see myself doing a comedy if there's terrible things happening as well, like a black comedy. Actually, I think this Lansdale adaptation is probably going in that direction. I would have to see the script first, but that's my guess. Sci-fi I might do if it tends more to be surrealistic and really weird. That's that type of stuff. The usual sci-fi, maybe Mission to Mars or Star Wars, Star Trek. Like, that's such big budget stuff that I don't know if I'll ever attempt that because it's just done so well by other people. And I just really enjoy strange things. So yeah, drama, dark comedy, horror, surrealistic drama, surrealistic sci-fi I could do, yeah.
Interesting. It just reminded me, one of my favorite dark black comedies is a black and white movie called Arsenic and Old Lace.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
I wonder, it really is just a real study in black and, it was filmed in late 40s, 50s, or early 50s. It's got a great cast and so on. It's kind of screwball comedy, but a really, really dark. So I recommend Arsenic and Old Lace. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or something like that.
And I really love noir too. Like, Gilda is amazing. It's so well written. Oh my god. And Sunset Boulevard is one of my favorites. Oh my goodness, Gloria Swanson. Holy shit. She plays the weirdest Hollywood. I don't know if she's hidden. She's basically a hermit, and she's creepy and obsessive and used to getting what she wants, and she turns very, very deadly. But yeah, if you're ever ready for your close-up Mr. DeMille, like that's where that film, that quote came from that film.
It's absolutely, but also it's a narrator.
Yeah, yeah.
I got slammed because I talked about having said avoid horror movies that start with narration, and somebody said Sunset Boulevard starts with narration.
Sure does.
Yeah. I'm the dead guy, funnily enough. And I have to.
Great.
When I was in Los Angeles recently and driving down Sunset Boulevard, I thought, yeah. Actually, watch that one again. Okay, well, we're at the end of the show, but there is just one more final comment. Don't ask, don't get. Spot on, Nicholas. This is from Paddy. And Paddy is really excited to see how your future goes, Izzy, and would love to chat more about your future journey as it goes along.
Awesome. I look forward to talking to you about film, Patty. You've had a lot of success too, and I'm really happy for you as well. So, let's chat.
And I should actually just say a quick shout out to everybody who's going to Cannes Film Festival. It's been really fascinating. It's Paddy, I've worked with. Oops, just dropped me earpiece. At Katie Bonham, congratulations, and short film column for Mindless, and Andy Stewart, Remnant, is going across there, and to anybody else. Those are the ones I'm aware about. Those are the three I'm aware about off the top of my head.
Awesome.
Yeah, it should be. I think you're going to have some really good time over in Cannes, folks.
Nice.
Right then, this is the end of the show. Izzy, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you so much. And if anybody in Scotland is in Dundee, Innsmouth will play Dundee with Baskin at the end of April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it'll play Stranger with My Face in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia as well at the end of this month. So it's
cool.
a fun month that sadly I won't be at either.
Yeah, there's quite a distance to go for both of them, really. Well, particularly, literally halfway around the world and so on. Just to remind folks that next week Rob Nevitt will be joining me, as I say, one of the festival directors at Celluloid Screens in Sheffield, and the director of Metamorphosis, in which I played a part, which screened in BBC Three.
Oh wow! I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it was a fun. It's a fun little 3-minute.
Oh wait, is that the one where there's like a winged creature on the roof?
Yes.
I have seen that. Nice work.
It was a fun day's filming that, and it's amazing what you can do with GoPro, and the way they got that falling sequence with the GoPro is quite fascinating as well. But so we'll talk to Rob about that next week. Izzy, thank you very much indeed for coming on and joining us on the show.
Thank you so much. This was hilarious and fun and awesome. And hopefully someday we'll be able to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you do your feature film, please come on, and before then as well. Right. You're welcome to come on the show, but then hopefully we'll get to meet at one of these festivals one of these days. Yeah. Jonathan and Steve, thank you very much indeed for coming on and joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, you guys. Cool. All right, so this has been Chattering with Nicholas Vince, and I've been chattering with Izzy Lee. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, folks, and I will see you again next week.